Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. It's the first time that I've ever attended a conference where I've been introduced as the speaker that shouldn't be here. So Thomas, thank you very much for that. So it's a great privilege to be in Hong Kong, even though apparently I shouldn't be here. So first slide's a big picture of my head. So I hope you enjoy that. So I'm the head of social media customer experience for our global consumer marketing business, and I'm effectively responsible for supporting 160 markets globally in their outworking and use of social media. And there are really three things that my team is responsible for organizationally. So the first is really driving marketing excellence across all of our markets as we think about and use social media. The second is that more relevant thing for finance, which is how we drive compliance and guidelines and standards. And then the third thing is really to think about how we drive social innovation. How do we use social technology to truly drive our business and drive value in our organization? Our company has actually been on a rapid journey. We're a 163-year-old company that has a history of innovation, but it was only actually in 2009 that the company actually engaged in social media for the first time. And we sent this tweet out from our customer services team, "Hello Twitterverse." We probably wouldn't write that anymore. But the interesting thing about that was it took us 3 weeks to write that first tweet. A great example of a financial services company using social media at light speed. But the tipping point for American Express really happened in 2010, and Tom just referred to it. It was something called Small Business Saturday, which we ran in the States. And that was something where we encouraged people to patronize small businesses on the Saturday between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And in doing that, we inadvertently started a movement. We drove about 1.5 million Facebook fans in the space of 3 weeks. We created an audience reach of about 100 million people, but more importantly, we drove a 28% increase in retail sales for any merchant that participated in the campaign. And so Small Business Saturday really taught the organization that there is incredible power in social media, not just to create fans and followers, but actually to drive tangible business results. And we've continued that journey. In 2012, we launched something called Twitter Sync, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, at South by Southwest in Austin, which many of you know is a conference for the startup and technology firms. And out of launching that, Ad Age Digital wrote an article that said this: what if the real winner of South by Southwest was American Express? Think about that as a 163-year-old company getting that type of press about how we think about social media, when at that particular conference, companies like Foursquare and others are launched. I love this particular slide, and I use this really as the philosophy of how we think about social media. Who needs customers when you have friends, fans, and followers? That really is a key indicator for us. As we think about social, it's not just about being there and turning up, although that's important, but it is about how we think about driving value and how do we actually drive tangible results at the back of it. As a brand purpose, we've really never been about a credit card business or truly just a utility of driving transactions, and many of you will be familiar with that being our core product. But we really have been all about creating ease for our customers, enriching lives, and making the ordinary extraordinary. And that's the fundamentals of what we truly believe, and that guides how we think about the filters of how we use social media and all of the content that we drive through social media. And in doing that, we are very clear about the focus on driving key business value. Our social media objectives are ultimately to drive relevancy and reappraisal with customers and prospects, which results in growth of acquisition, spend, and loyalty. And we see those three key metrics as being fundamental to everything that we think about touching and doing in relation to social. But the reality for us is that nothing that we do starts without actually looking at insights. And right at the start of the day, Scott Monty said this, that we are born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And that's actually something we hold true as a company ourselves. In fact, Small Business Saturday was driven from a social listening insight. And without the power of social listening and how we think about that and use that in our organization, actually we wouldn't be doing anything in social media. And this example here is actually a piece of work that we did in partnership with Ogilvy in the UK that looked at the customer life cycle of American Express customers at different touch points. And what it really started to help us look at was specifically within a customer journey, where were pain points and passion points that enabled us from a service perspective to be able to resolve those pain points, but also from an advocacy and an activation purpose, really think about some of those opportunities and passion points. So I'm going to talk about 3 specific tangible areas quite quickly, and then Tom's going to ask some questions about where we're really seeing value and where we're really thinking about driving results from social. So the first thing that I said is we're really interested in how we drive brand reappraisal, and social is fundamentally important in how we think about driving brand reappraisal. And these are the kind of things that perhaps are not familiar with financial service brands or traditional financial service brands. So the first thing that we're really seeing great results with is a program called Unstaged. Unstaged is a program where we merge music artists and directors in a collaboration with YouTube and Vivo and bring live concerts out to fans everywhere. So they're effectively live streamed concerts. And what we've done with that is we've specifically recognized that American Express has an image in certain parts of the world of being stuffy and traditional. It's the kind of card that perhaps your dad would have, or it's the kind of card you associate with a corporate business traveler. And so Unstaged is an effort for us to really use the power of social media to really change perception of that at scale. And over the last few years, we've run a number of these different Unstaged events with significant artists like Coldplay, The Killers, Usher. I was just at the start of August attending an event with the Kings of Leon in London. And what we see with that is we're able to drive over 100 million YouTube impressions on average across those different events. And the Kings of Leon event was the #5 trending topic worldwide on Twitter. So hugely powerful for being able to drive brand relevancy and brand reappraisal. The second thing is about how we think about driving acquisition. And we've heard about this a number of times today, this idea of consumer reviews. The reality is the power is no longer with the brand, it's with the consumer. Scott Cook, who is the founder of Intuit, says this. He says, brands are no longer defined by what we say they are, they're defined by what consumers tell each other they are. And that's something we hold really true. And so we've been on a journey in thinking about how do we as a financial services company lose control a little bit? How do we actually put into the hands of our customers and trust that our products and services are actually powerful enough and strong enough to stand on their own when under the microscope of our customers in front of potential prospects. And so ratings and reviews is actually incredibly important to us, and so we're on a journey of delivering that across our organization. And in doing that, what we've seen is by enabling card members with authenticated reviews to put those directly into the purchase path for prospects who are looking at acquisition, we're able to see an overall uplift in acquisition. In Canada, which is one of our leading markets for delivering this, we're seeing a 41% uplift in submission rate for consumers who have interacted with consumer reviews. That's fundamentally transformational into how we think about driving our business. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about before I let Tom come back on is driving spend through digital partnerships. Spend is fundamentally important to us as an organization. You would expect me to say that as a credit card company. And so for us, there's this key desire to think about how can social technology, how can platforms enable us to really truly drive incremental spend on the network? How do we actually take core business processes, core consumer behavior, and make that real and rational for the digital age? And so we've been on this journey of developing what we call these digital partnerships. We're effectively sync capabilities where card members can sync their card account with their social account. And we've rolled these out with Foursquare, with Twitter, and with Facebook. And effectively what happens is a card member, once they've synced their account, then becomes eligible for offers that we can drive into that channel of choice. And they become contextually relevant commerce opportunities. So imagine that customer who checks in on Foursquare, they've already synced their account, and in that merchant there's an offer from American Express. With one click they can load that offer to their card, and then they can pay as per they normally would at point of sale and receive a statement credit on the back end. And we've evolved that technology in the last year with Twitter with something called Tweet to Buy. And Tweet to Buy now allows card members to buy directly from Twitter through the use of hashtags. So a fundamentally transformational way of us thinking about how do you take those standard business processes, those standard consumer behaviors, and make them real in social networks.
Round of applause. I'd love to take any questions there are from the audience. Just tweet them at me, and my phone should buzz. How do you measure success? I mean, you've talked about a different number of ways of looking at it, and everybody will notice that I keep coming back to this question of success because ROI is so key. What is the measure of that? How do you justify the money being spent?
I think ROI is interesting. So I always actually say that ROI really should be left with a finance organisation.
Give it to somebody else. Good idea.
But value and
how
we think about how we think about value is, I think it's dependent upon the different types of activities that we're driving. And so those three examples that I shared would actually all have very different measures of success. It's interesting. Some of the things, such as those digital partnerships where it's very easy for you to track and attribute incremental sales off the back of that key platform, that becomes very easy for us. Some of them are a bit more intangible. So we actually look at in our regular social activity, so on Facebook or something like that, we look at 4 different categories. We look at connections, so actually how big is the audience, and how wide is our ability to connect with people. We look at our reach, which is effectively how good are we at being able to talk to that audience. We look at engagement, and many people have talked about engagement in this conference already. So we look at engagement and how effective are we engaging that community, and that ranges from very different aspects to what engagement is. That could be are we trying to drive someone to click on a link, or are we actually trying to drive them to buy a ticket through something we've posted on Twitter or on Facebook. And then we look at advocacy metrics, and so we're really interested in interactions. And I was really interested in John Bell's discussion around advocacy, because that is a key passion area for us. Is how do we know we have advocates, we're just not very good at unlocking them. And so ratings and reviews is a great example of how you take your advocates and then how do you drive that directly into an acquisition path.
And so it's sort of, depending on where you are in sort of the sales process that you were showing up there, it might be fan numbers or actual transactions.
That's right, yeah.
On the transactions end of thing, one of the questions that came over Twitter was about data security. How do you ensure that you're dealing with these platforms where you don't have any control? And this comes back to the whole issue of finance industry, why there's a reluctance to get involved.
Yeah, very, very good question. So I guess that's just twofold. So the digital partnerships that I just spoke about, all of that data, so the syncing of card account and social account is actually owned by American Express. So none of that data sits with a social network. And so that's incredibly important for us, because obviously security is a fundamental challenge. When we're actually interacting with any of the social networks, clearly we have challenges on our ability to to manage any specific servicing activity at account level. And the reality is we just don't do that. So we're very explicit with people interacting with us on social sites that we don't want them to put PII data onto that message that they're sending us live publicly into Twitter. So don't send us your account number, please. So those things we obviously are very guarded against, and therefore all our activity is very much above that account level. That's much more how we engage in a broader level.
Another question came through, which is about how you engage with members of the sort of more elite cards. Is there a different strategy for that? Is there a plan for that?
Yeah, it's actually very, very interesting. So we've done quite a lot of research, and we work with a number of luxury brands, and
yeah, exactly. Link straight into luxury.
We would have a luxury component for us, and what we found is actually that premium, as we think about them, premium card members, are actually often no different to many other customers. They are in your social platforms. They are on Facebook, they are on Twitter, and so though we do have some slightly more targeted activity where we think about engaging off-site, off those specific social channels, we're actually really interested in how we develop and deliver content that is relevant to those luxury customers. Or premium customers, but we do it in a way that makes it accessible actually to the broader base and the broader audience. Because one of the things we're really interested in is actually how do we drive consumers through that migration path from those basic products up to the more premium products. And to do that, we want to create some form of card envy or brand envy by a demonstration of the value of the products at the more premium end.
So it's a sense of giving them something of value that will move forward, move them up to the next level of stage. Another question from Twitter. It's great. I don't have to do my job here. I just go to Twitter. What are the things that in the next year, the three things that will shape how you navigate through marketing activities? What are the big themes? I mean, the theme here we've said data, creative, mobile.
Yeah, I would agree with all of those. I think
we need disagreement up here.
So mobile is incredibly important for us, as it is for everybody. So everything we do has a very strong mobile-centric thing. In fact, we're deliberate that we don't do anything that is non-mobile. Content is really important to us. Specifically, I made that joke about 3 weeks for that first tweet. Being able to deliver content rapidly, that idea of transformation into publishing for a financial services brand where we have very strong compliance issues, very strong legal issues, is a massive challenge for us. So that I think is fundamentally important. And then from the data side, it's really about social CRM and how we think about being able to access, leverage, and use that data. Because we spend a lot of time with social networks talking about engaging those communities, but the reality for us is that it's very difficult sometimes to actually build an understanding and profile of who those people are on an ongoing basis that allows you to manage them on a regular basis and really build true relationship, and that's key for us.
Excellent, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.